How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I wanted to do a bit of a different take on a video that I made for my friend Christian's account a while back, which was the top 5 FRS, BRZ, or 86 modifications. And I completely stand by the recommendations that I made in that video for those modifications. However, I was thinking about that video recently, and it hit me that when I made those recommendations in that video, I was really talking in terms of the best bang for your buck modifications. And a lot of FRS, BRZ, or 86 owners, with this being a cheaper car, are really trying to look for modifications that they can do to their car that won't cost a lot but will make a large difference. So if you want to see that kind of stuff, go ahead and check out the video. I do not know which corner of the screen it's going to be in, but it'll be in one of them. I was thinking again over the top 5 modifications you can do for this car, and it hit me that there is a different top 5 for this car if you're thinking in terms of like a limited budget. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about the top 5 FRS, BRZ, or 86 modifications if your budget basically has no limitations. Now, starting with number 5, this modification is really just going to be aerodynamics to the car, but to be more specific, I'm going to be talking about a rear wing. And the reason that I say the rear wing is because the FRS, BRZ, or 86 is off the bat just a very tail happy car. You know, you normally see people drifting these cars or sliding around the rears. So if you're trying to set good lap times, then the most important piece of aerodynamic on the car is the rear wing to help keep that rear end planted so that you can decrease your lap times. Obviously, if you have a large rear wing, you want to make sure that you have some kind of front aero to help balance out the downforce across the car. But if you're just thinking of like what number 1 modification in terms of aerodynamics, the first thing that you should probably do is a rear wing to help keep that rear planted. Now, the second modification is to ditch those skinny tires that come from the factory and instead get yourself a proper set of forged wheels with aftermarket tires. So right now I have the Apex ARC8 wheels on the car. However, I am going to be switching to the EC7Rs that they just came out with when I get this car back on the track. And those EC7Rs are forged, which means that they're going to be a lot stronger when I hit, go off the track, or when I hit one of the rubble strips on the track, it won't bend the wheel. And then I have a set of Yokohama A052 tires on the car to make sure that I have basically as much grip as you can get in the 200 tread wear range. So make sure that you get yourself a proper set of high quality forged good wheels, especially those Apex wheels. You should definitely check those out. Now, the number 3 top modification for the car is an aftermarket ECU. Specifically, I'm going to be using a Motec ECU. And the reason that you should consider an aftermarket ECU is because using an aftermarket ECU as opposed to the stock ECU gives your tuner a lot of different opportunities and options to help make your tune powerful and reliable that go way beyond the capabilities of the stock ECU. Now, I know when you use the stock ECU and you use EcuTech, you can get custom tunes and you can also get cool features like launch control and that kind of stuff. But when you go to an aftermarket proper ECU like the Motec ECU, you have a lot of different options for tuning, as well as a lot of safety options, like for example, shutting off your engine if your oil pressure gets too low or if your oil temps get too high, to help make sure that even if you're not understanding it at the moment, your engine is about to go to somewhere that you don't want it to go to. So the aftermarket ECU not only helps make sure that your engine can make the most power possible and also give you cool options like launch control and auto blip throttle, but it'll help make sure that your motor is as reliable as it can be. And when you're spending a lot of money on a motor, that really is important. Now, the number 2 modification that I'm going to recommend is a good set of coilovers. And I don't just mean coilovers that'll help allow you to slam your car to the ground or do any of that kind of stuff. I'm talking about a good performance-oriented set of coilovers that help make sure that you're maximizing the amount of grip that you can get out of your car. Now, I used to run the HKS coilovers on this car, and they were good, but they were on the cheaper end of the spectrum. And when I switched over to the BRZ coilovers, which were the second set of coilovers that I ran to this car, you could really feel a difference in the suspension and in the performance of the car when I was on the track, from the cheaper end of the spectrum to the more high end of the spectrum. So definitely look into getting a good, high quality set of coilovers that allow you to adjust the suspension, so that when you go to different tracks, you can make different adjustments, or when you're at the same track, you can just fine tune the suspension to help maximize the amount of grip that you're having and lower your track time. So a good set of coilovers are very important to a good track car. Now, the number 1 modification for the FRS, BRZ, or 86 is K24 swapping the car. Ditch that FA20 motor, which has proven itself to be unreliable and does not make very good power, and instead replace it with the Honda K24 motor, which has proven itself to be a reliable and powerful motor. Now, the reason that I say the K24 as opposed to the V8 or the 2JZ is because both the V8 and the 2JZ are a lot of work to swap into this car. Now, obviously, any engine swap is going to take a lot of work, but the V8 and the 2JZ require you to do modifications to the transmission tunnel and a lot of other stuff like that, and it's just a huge pain in the butt. Whereas the K24, being a very small motor, is not as much work to swap into the car, but can make reliable, good power and will also decrease the weight of the car significantly by like 150 pounds, which, you know, when we're talking about a car that weighs 2,700 pounds, 150 is a significant amount of weight loss, in addition to the fact that it has a lot more power capabilities than the FA20. So if you're talking about building an FRS BRZ or 86 and budget isn't really in mind, one of the best modifications that you can look into is a K24 swap. So that's going to do it for this video. If you guys disagree with anything that I said, feel free to leave it in the comments below. If you agree with what I said, make sure that you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you guys have any recommendations for any videos you want to see in the future, also leave those in the comments below and I will make sure to check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a good one.